Everybody, welcome back to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. All right, so I got to check out Discord, and I want to thank Kel and Hercules and those guys. I didn't get to check it out yesterday. There was some things going on, but we're going to be covering this. I typically, like I said, I haven't been covering a lot of things from Elder Scrolls. I've been doing weekly memes about the server capacity. Yesterday, before I get into this, yesterday morning, I kind of, put a doomsday clock out there. First thing I've ever done. I typically don't do that. But, and then I addressed Matt in a video prior to that, the day before. And I said, Matt, if you've never listened to me before, listen to me now. You cannot afford not to upgrade these servers. You cannot afford to have a failed launch with Elsewhere. You can't. Now, if anybody thinks that these guys don't know me, you're on crack. Okay? I have been doing this way longer than some of you have even touched a controller, let alone played an MMO. So yes, I have been doing this a long time. Yes, I'm an arrogant asshole. Yes, all of these things are true. So, it was interesting because this was posted. I believe I want to say it's dated today, but I believe it was posted yesterday. Well, even after my stream, and it definitely, is it coincidence? Let me ask you that. First off, let me put this across to you in a way. When I'm making videos, and it's only getting a very small view, but who's viewing it? Ask yourself that. Okay, first off, ask yourself, who's really paying attention to Mystic Raven? It's not about how many, it's about who many. So let's get into this. And first off, I do also want to say I have nothing but admiration for Matt Fear. Okay, literally, this man has my utmost respect. So, and then I'll be reading this. I'll give you my thoughts. I will give you my feedback, and I'll give you my insight. Okay, so let's get into it. So this is to address the PCEU server update, dated April 11th. Okay. And this is from the CEO of ZeniMax, and that is Matt Fear. Everyone, after seeing the commentary about the queuing system being enabled on the PCEU servers yesterday, I thought I'd let everyone know what has been leading up to this and what we are doing to alleviate the situation. Please note that the situation that led to the queuing system being enabled is not related to the overall client performance issues that we talked about at the end of last year. Those engine optimizations are still underway, and hopefully you'll see them in game at some point this year. Now, that is true. I can honestly tell you that the client is different from server. They correlate together, but when it comes to performance, they're isolated. Okay, so first off, if somebody thinks it's a client issue, there's difference. It can be a client issue, it can be a hardware issue. There are a lot of underlying technical aspects. But when Matt's saying that it's not related to the client, I completely concur. I completely concur with that, and he's right. He knows his shit. So he knows it. So rest assured that it is not client related. Okay, there's different things going on with the client, but in this case scenario, it's not related to the client. Okay. The situation that led to queuing has nothing to do with client performance. It is because our servers are overloaded. Now, the servers have been a problem. I've said that. I left because of the latency issues. 250 in this industry is unflipping acceptable. I can go to dial-up and get a better ping than that. Like, We go back to EverQuest. When EverQuest was in dial-up, we didn't see those type of latencies. Now, mind you, the server structure and the architecture was different. I will agree with that. But nobody run the 250 to 300 latency. It's ridiculous. And if you've let it gotten that far, it's problematic. All right? So, you have to be aware of these things. And they are, and I'll explain that later. But, moving forward. Starting in January, we've had an influx of new players. We've had some of our highest weekly average user, daily activity user, and peak concurrent user numbers in the last 6 weeks since we launched on console back in 2015. So, it was in January when EU players started noticing degraded server performance. It's before that, but maybe escalated. We made tweaks and updates to the service to free up extra database resources, that is true, and other boosts to performance, which it's touch and go, which is why you've been seeing more and longer maintenance outages than normal in the last couple of months. Okay, I agree with that. However, in late March, we really saw a huge spike in the numbers of users logging in, which led to too many concurrent users for the platform to effectively support. As a result, players on the PC EU have seen a severe degradation in service. This degradation started in January but has greatly accelerated in the last week. Okay, lag spikes, disconnects, inability to zone from instance to instance, weird interactions with LFG, etc. These problems are greatly exasperated by having serious load on the servers as there are too many users for the hardware to handle. You think? Yes. A quick aside, these problems affect the PC EU more than any other mega server because it has our highest peak concurrency of any of our 6 mega servers. The reason: the EU is highly PC-centric gaming market, and also because almost all of our EU players are located in 2 time zones, compared to North America servers where there are 4 time zones to spread out the peak playing time. The EU has almost all of its users logged in at the same time, which leads to very high peak usage. So yeah, I can understand, peak fluctuations, for, how much data is being, spread throughout each node within the server. So I completely understand that. So here is what we are doing to fix the problem. Short term, we are turning on our queuing system, as you saw yesterday, which will cap the maximum number of players allowed on PC EU Mega Server. You should only see the queue at peak times when demand is higher than the hardware supports. As was posted yesterday, the estimated time to log in may not be 100% accurate. You can never say that anyways, but yeah, that's good. But it will give you an idea of how big the line is. Also, if you are disconnected from the server for any reason, you should have a 20-minute grace period to log back in and skip the queue. Okay, longer term. This is where it gets interesting. We are spinning up additional hardware. So here's the key word. We are spinning up. Okay? Additional hardware. And it's additional. So additional. Spinning up. In both of our NA and EU data centers in order to support our growing user base. We expect the time frame for this to be about 2 weeks, but we will keep you posted. And yes, we are adding more capacity to PCNA as well as EU because we are rapidly approaching the same problem in NA and we want to get ahead of it. We will also be looking very closely at our console mega servers to make sure they have enough capacity. I know it is frustrating to be stuck in queue, but it is better to do this than to have the entire service be unstable and frustrating for everyone. We will do everything we can to get the new hardware online as quickly as possible and stop queuing and having the service return to normal. Stay tuned for details. Matt Fuhrer, ESO Game Director. Okay. First off, I want to thank you, Matt, for you personally addressing this issue. Thank you. I want to say that. And second, nobody can blame Matt. Nobody can blame the staff because they're employees. Yes, Matt holds high positions within, there. But keep in mind, he cannot execute without board approval. These gentlemen cannot do anything without, the funds approved by the board to go forward. So their hands were frigging tied. And I said yesterday, they cannot afford this to go down like this. Right? Can't. So I'm just checking, anything. So the biggest thing for me, and this is the biggest thing, is at least the acknowledgement and the verification. Right? Elder Scrolls is a good game. And I've said this multiple times. It could be one of the best, if not the greatest, MMO to date. I've said that multiple times. Right? The foundation is set. But you have to handle business properly. And the board needs to understand that. You have to retain. You have to spend money to make money, and retention is where it's at. Right? Retaining customers come and go. But growth is held from your retention point moving up. So the more you retain customers and you grow as you're retaining, the more profitable your company becomes. And I have no animosity towards anybody over at ZeniMax staff. None. Zero. And to the players who said, "Oh, Mystic, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about," who's laughing now, motherfuckers? Now, if they get the hardware in prior to the elsewhere and everything's been addressed with optimization for client performance, meaning how the data transfers during client operation, right? That has nothing to do with server structure or architecture. It actually has to do with client stability between node datas between nodes, right? And if they can optimize this and they can, take this between between the hardware and the virtual end, they will eventually, I don't think within the next 6-7 months they'll stabilize, but at least it's a direction in the right path that needs to occur, right? Hardware is crucial. It's a crucial element. No matter how you build in the architecture, how the IP is established and transferred, even from a virtual scale, you have to be able to relay that data, right? And this is important. This is just crucial. And at the end of the day, that's finally being addressed, because you can't afford to ignore it. You can't afford to keep squeezing the turnip because it has nothing to give you. Yeah, there's nothing left. It's either, hey, let's get some juice going, let's get something that can give us juice, or bust, right? It's just the way it is. And, at the end of the day, I hate to say I told everybody so, but I actually don't hate to say it. I never get tired of it. I told all of you. I told every goddamn one of you who questioned me, continue to question me, acting like I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this longer than 90 something percent of you. Way longer. And if I say it, it is. Majority of the time, it just is. It's just experience, man. It relates to that. And I'm glad Matt and the board, thank you, Cinemax Online Studio board members, because without them saying, okay, let's go. Let's get it done. Without them saying that, this could have turned really ugly really fast. Could have gotten a lot worse. And for Matt to say, I'm going to address this to our consumers, I pay much homage and respect to that man to this day. I mean, he acknowledges that. He's like, it should be me that puts out this letter. They should hear it from me, their director. And that has respect. That's a respectful way to approach. And communication is key, especially when you have the loyal fans that want to see your product succeed. But I keep saying this, learn from the lessons moving forward. Learn from these lessons. It's okay to be to have prosperity, to make a profit and to do great things, right? But you cannot keep drawing from something without putting back into it. It's give and take. To be able to take from it, you have to feed it. It's just like anything in nature. Do you want, that plant to bear fruit? Well, you have to give it the resources it needs to grow. You have to give it sunlight. You have to give it water. You have to give it nourishment. And when it grows, it will bear fruit. And then you can partake in the work, in the nourishment that you've provided. Right? That's how it works. That's how it goes down. Yes, it's one thing if, you just keep, taking and you never, spread your seeds. You never, try to get it to go bigger. It's supply and demand. You don't want to waste food, but at the same time, you want to grow it. You want to grow. You want people to, partake in this, and you want, to do something greater. You shouldn't put in all the work. You shouldn't put in all the resources. But if you want people to pay for your labors or your endeavors, somebody has to feed it. Somebody has to put in, the resources it needs. That's simple, man. And to the content creators who were a little scared to touch this, I don't hate you. I don't hate you. I don't. But let's just be honest here. We're on different levels. Okay. You can have 50,000 subs. You can have 60,000 subs. You can travel ZeniMax 100 times. And you can rub elbows with anybody you think that makes you look good. But you're not on my level. You're not. Okay? Because I'm never going to compromise myself for any game, whether I love it or not. Never address the issues that are present or hide behind something. I understand. I get it. You can't afford to. Everything hinges on what you're doing. So I understand. I get it. But that's where we differ. And because of that, I'm sorry. There's always going to be that gap. Okay? It's always going to be that gap. All right? Anyways, man, I'm going to call this. I'm going to wrap this up. And yeah, motherfuckers. Both my fingers are in the air to all my trolls, to all my little bitch ass haters, to anybody who ever doubts me. Kiss it. Once again, I'm Mr. Craven. This is Mystics MMOs. You know where it's at. As always, have a nice day.